Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. We're just getting started here. As we get started today, I just want to hear from you all in the chat right now. Where are you from? So I'm from Brooklyn. Well, I'm from Long Island, but I've been living in Brooklyn for about 7 years. So I want to know, where you're from and also what organization you're with. That'll give me a great idea of who's here. All right, so welcome to the webinar. Winter is coming. Create a year-end marketing plan now to attract more and larger gifts. My name is Candace, and we're going to get started in just a minute today. So welcome, everyone. Still want to see really where are you from and what organization you're with. So we have Maine, we have Maryland, DC, Vancouver, also New York City. Jim, nice. We'll see. Maybe I'll see you around. Texas, Chicago, Tennessee, Virginia. This is truly amazing. So thank you all for joining so far. There's so many of you, and I'm so excited to have you here today. Just wondering too, well, I'll throw a bunch more questions at you as we go. So I really do just want to get started with our webinar today. Winter is coming, how you can create a year-end marketing plan now to attract more and larger gifts. So this webinar is presented by Community Boost. So Community Boost is a digital marketing agency that exists to empower social ventures changing the world. And we are really privileged to have partnered with about 400 nonprofits this year. And through the end of this year, are raising about $40 million through online channels. So a lot of the strategies that we're going over today is exactly what we're doing with our partners to help them reach those amazing fundraising goals this year end. We're also really proud to put on webinars like this to provide free educational opportunities, as well as the Nonprofit Marketing Summit. If any of you were there, I would love to know. So let me know in the chat if you were there. And yeah, we are a proud team of about 60 members and growing. So it's been really exciting to be part of this incredible team that seeks to really empower those social ventures and nonprofits like yours. So we're proud to work with organizations like Charity Water, Souls for Souls, Cancer Research Institute. You'll hear more about them in a little bit. And without further ado, I just want to introduce myself. So any of you that don't know me already, I know some of you were at the summit, so I might be a familiar face, but my name is Candace. I'm the digital events manager here at Community Boost. So over the last, actually, about 8 years now, I'm realizing, I've been dedicating to helping nonprofits grow. So today I host webinars, I host the Nonprofit Marketing Summit, and more events that really empower organizations to get the education that you need to, market your organization better and reach those fundraising goals. So really excited to get into our content today. So without going too much further, I want to know a little bit more about all of you, because that will really give me a better understanding of how I can better tailor my presentation. And also, let's just get to know each other better. So I want to know, what is your experience with year-end marketing and fundraising? So I'm going to launch a poll here. We'll see. Are you new to this? Is this your first time? Have you been doing this for over 5 years, or are you somewhere in the middle? So, wow, already so many responses coming in. This is fantastic. All right, so it looks like some of you are in fact pros. We have 17% of you who have over 5 years of experience. I'm actually going to end the poll and share the results with you all as well, so you can see for yourself. And then there's about 29% of you with only one or actually 20% of you with 3 to 4 years of experience. So you have some experience under your belts. So you're probably here to just kind of like learn more and really enhance your approach this year end. And for those of you with 1 to 2 years of experience, that's 29% of you. This is a great opportunity for you to get even sharper with all of your year end plans going into this year and basing it off of your learnings over the last couple of years. And for those of you who this is your first year end, there's 34% of you in the audience. This is going to be, I hope, really, really helpful in giving you a strong foundation to really ramp up your year end fundraising efforts for the first time. So I'm really glad you're all here today. I'm going to stop sharing. And then let's learn a little bit, if my slide will go, okay. What your year-end planning typically looks like for your nonprofit. So I've worked with hundreds of organizations over the years, and I know that it goes from, we have a really robust plan, you have all of your goals set, all of your revenue streams are mapped out, or you have no really specific plan. It's just kind of like rerunning the same things year after year. You kind of like, for those of you who have maybe 5+ years of experience, that might be you, where you're kind of just rerunning the same thing year over year, or anything in between. So I want to learn, I'm going to launch the poll now and just get a better understanding of where you're at when it comes to year-end planning. This is really great. Thank you all for being here. And I love the engagement, and answering these polls gives me a really good understanding of where you're at. Amazing. So I'm going to give it 30 seconds and close it out. Okay. So let's end this poll. I'm going to share the results with all of you. So it looks like it really goes like across the board, but it looks like 42% of you do some light planning. So you have some goals in mind, really like have an idea of what you're hoping to accomplish without like a really like daily play-by-play. So my hope for you all today is that this is going to be really helpful in translating those goals into reality. So I'm excited that you're here. And then for those of you that have those really robust plans and goals, I would love to even chat with you more and have you engage even more in the chat with additional tips. So you might be a pro, but I think there's still a lot of strategies that we're going through today, and you can incorporate that into your planning this year end. And I hope those resources are helpful for you as well. And then for those of you that don't have a specific plan, but just kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, like that looks like about 33% of you. And then no specific plan, just kind of rerunning that same playbook year after year. I'm really glad you're here, because we're going to go through the framework that you need to really take your year end to the next level. So thank you all again. So without further ado, I want to get into our agenda for today. I'm going to go over an introduction to year-end planning, and then I'm going to actually dive into tips that will help you maximize your year-end fundraising results, and just kind of like those latest trends and channels and strategies that you can use to really incorporate into your year-end plans. And then we'll, last but certainly not least, go into how you can really set really strong year-end goals and then map out all of that into a year-end marketing plan. So hopefully I'll save some time at the end for Q&A. So I want to do a brief or maybe not so brief introduction to year-end planning to really give really set the stage for our conversation today. So a lot of you probably know that year end is the biggest giving opportunity for your nonprofit all year. About 33%, there's like different statistics, but it's anywhere from 31 to 33% of donations are really made in December or sometimes end of November, depending on where Giving Tuesday falls. And 12% of those gifts for the entire year actually just made in 3 days. The last 3 days of the year are the highest giving days all year. So that is a big opportunity to plan for and capitalize on. Giving Tuesday is ever growing. So I know that there is, a lot of questions like, should my nonprofit be doing this? There's a lot of competition during Giving Tuesday. I think the answer is yes. Giving Tuesday only continues to grow. Last year, it was $2.7 billion was donated on Giving Tuesday alone. And then there's also, kind of like a lead up and post Giving Tuesday spike in donations as well. So we'll talk a little bit about Giving Tuesday later on. And you're right on time. So 53.8% of nonprofits really start planning their year-end appeal in October. So you're even early to the game, but now is the absolute perfect time for you to really start mapping out your year ends, because any later than this, you're gonna feel rushed and not really have all the time that you need to have the best year end that you can imagine. So you're right on time. Yeah, November and December are the most popular months for making year-end asks. That makes a lot of sense, right? When you think about it's the end of the year. But it is really interesting that November has even more year-end asks than December as well. So I think that there's just like some interesting learnings to think about as you craft your calendar to incorporate more asks both in November and December. It's not just December, guys. And this stat hurt my heart a little bit. 59.9% of nonprofits make between 1 and 3 donor touches for their year-end campaign. So you may or may not know this, that it actually takes about 8 touches in order for you to get those donations. So if you are in the majority of nonprofits that are not making enough touches with your donors during year ends, you're missing out. So this is a really cool opportunity for you to really think through how you can get more donor touch points scheduled into your plan. So yeah, no surprise, year end is the most charitable time of the year, and a year-end plan really sets you up for success. So without a plan, you'll look a lot like Jon Snow over here, a little overwhelmed, just kind of sad and miserable. And like even Jon Snow alone, like I feel like the whole time you're watching Game of Thrones, he leads with his heart. So it's not a lot of plans that in place, and it always creates a lot of stress not to have a plan. And then when you're taking that fly by the seat of your pants approach, often there's missed opportunities. So you kind of look back and you're like, oh, we scheduled that communication. And then, oh, it would have been so much better if we had done, also this other communication. Like, oh, if we had scheduled both an email and a social media post with the same story, for example. So with a lot of that fly by the seat of your pants approach, you're going to be missing out on a lot of channels that you could be using to drive more revenue, and really just missing out on the opportunities that you really need to make all of those donor touch points and get really reach those goals. Another big thing about a year-end plan that I think is a huge advantage, and without one, you're in trouble. But if you don't have a plan, there's no real way to measure success. So if you don't have any goals for year-end, how can you know if you were successful or not? You just kind of look back and you're like, well, we raised money, but really having a solid plan in place helps you keep track of success and actually boils it down for you so that success becomes really manageable and within reach. And without a year-end plan, ultimately, you'll be missing out on a lot of gifts and opportunities. So yeah, we don't want you to be sad like Jon Snow over here. we want you to be like Tyrion. So for those of you who haven't watched Game of Thrones, really sorry. But Tyrion Lannister is very famously always the perpetual hand of the king, making all the strategic decisions and plays, and is very, very good at it. And so your year-end plan will help you be more like Tyrion. So you can easily follow this plan. You'll be able to delegate tasks, so everything becomes a lot more manageable. It's a lot less stressful for you, and probably the best way to end the year without being completely burnt out. Also, this like process-oriented approach helps you actually number one, assess and take advantage of all opportunities your nonprofit has so that you can maximize gifts, of course, and keeps you on track to success. So by breaking it down into these measurable steps, you're actually set up to, optimize your plan as it goes, and make sure that you're actually on track to reach those fundraising goals for the rest of the year. So that is, you can be like Tyrion with a year-end plan. So what is a year-end marketing plan? So a year-end marketing plan maps out all of your overall goals for year-end fundraising and translates them into the specific strategies and actions that will help you actually accomplish those goals. So this is a guide that helps you implement all of your amazing ideas for year-end and make them a reality. So I think we've all heard this, that a goal without a plan is just a wish. This is making those wishes come true. And one thing that I really want to make very clear, and this comes with year-end marketing plans, any marketing plan that you do, this is a living document. So it is meant to be continually reviewed, continually edited, and updated to maximize your marketing efforts. So one of the things that we'll be talking about in a little bit is setting those goals and having those channels mapped out with specific revenue goals attached to them so that you're actually set to reach your ultimate fundraising goal through your marketing efforts. So in that way, if you're lagging behind or you're not seeing the return on an investment that you were hoping to with one of your strategies, you can pivot, and you can also lean into those stories and the strategies that are providing you the most results as you go. And this way, you're continually able to maximize your efforts. It's not just like a set it and forget it document. So now that we've talked a little bit about what is a year-end plan, I want to just talk through what a typical year-end actually looks like. So most of the time you have a year-end email, you have your social media blasts, everything that you've planned for year-end, and you launch it, and it's initially very exciting, and then it drops off in the middle somewhere along the way. Usually we see this in like early mid-December. There's a lot of drop off there where you're still getting some donations, but it's just not that initial excitement. And throughout the last 3 days of the year, like we were saying, there's that big finish. There's that huge spike in donations right at the end of the year. And a lot of this has to do with just a simple timeline, right? And I think there's some ways that you can counteract this where you can avoid that big drop off. I think there's a little part of it that's always going to be inevitable, but with the right digital marketing and advertising approach, you're able to keep revenue high during that slope so that you can keep the momentum going and keep really raising more throughout the whole year end instead of just having that big drop off in the middle. So this is just a typical year-end campaign timeline. It can really start earlier, it can start a little bit later, but this is what we do with our clients when we're helping nonprofits really craft their year-end strategy. So usually during September, this is your time for analysis. You're taking a look at what you did last year and setting your goals for this year, kind of generating that ultimate concept that you want to implement through the end of the year, and securing those early early partners or matching gifts that will help you, kind of keep that momentum up. So this is more of like that strategy phase and goal setting phase. And that will help you really capitalize on all of October. So within the next week or so, this is the perfect time for you to really take a look back at your previous year-end efforts and optimize them and make some decisions now to help you raise more through the year end. What we've also really seen work well is really beginning with gratitude. I think this is something that's a huge missed opportunity where we just ask and ask and ask and forget to share with everyone who has given to your organization already this year or even last year, and just say thank you. Like a thank you has been proven to help increase donations. And so when you lead with gratitude, I think that builds that relationship with your donors already so that they're more primed to make a gift when you do make that ask at the end of the year. And this is also like a prime time to really start that early, those marketing efforts. And I'll share a little bit more about how you can map this out. Huge thing, Giving Tuesday is November 29th this year, save the date. So you want to think about Giving Tuesday as more of, I would say, a month-long campaign, or even like at minimum a couple of weeks. Giving Tuesday is not just a one-day affair. So as you ramp up for Giving Tuesday, you want to think about the strategies that you want to implement and all of the things that you need to do to prepare for that. And then early to mid-December is one of those big, prime time year-end fundraising. That's your prime time year-end fundraising, basically. So you're gonna really get started with a lot of those year-end specific asks. This is gonna look like using a lot of channels and a lot of communication, and all leading up to your big finish at the end of December, those last 3 days of the year. And you can really use a lot of urgency around that December 31st deadline to make a gift. In January, you want to think about gratitude again. So just beginning and ending with gratitude is super key. And that's also something we'll be talking about later. And then also thinking about even keeping those donors for the long term, because I think a lot of year-end fundraising is very focused on those one-time gifts. And a big opportunity that you have is to follow up with those year-end donors and ask them to become a recurring donor in February. So it's a suggestion. It's something that I do really think has been proven effective time after time. So this is just like a general timeline to keep in mind as you think about year end. And this was like a graphic, I think kind of boils it down into like a simple, easily readable view of it, but it's really just, that same kind of beginning and ending with gratitude and all of the things that drive urgency in between. So we take this approach with our clients, like I said. So Cancer Research Institute, this was their last year, their year-end campaign last year. They actually raised over $1 million online during year-end 2021, and 48% of them were new donors. So that is huge. And that is super key to actually being able to not just keep your year-end fundraising where it is, but actually keep it growing. So how did they do this? So again, we really use that same framework, and there's some notes here. I'll share the slides with you so you don't have to, really quickly read everything, but we took a very similar approach to the one that I laid out before and translated this for their particular organization. And to just give you an idea of what some of the channels they use, because we'll be talking a lot about channels in a little bit, they really used meta ads to drive a lot of revenue. They also did paid Google and Microsoft search ads. They did Google display ads, YouTube ads, Twitter ads, email marketing, and direct donor outreach. So this is just the channels they used. This won't necessarily look the same for your organization, but I do think it gives you a good understanding of, what you should be thinking about when it comes to year end and all of the different options that you have to incorporate into your year end plan. So we have some resources for you. We're going to give you a year-end goal worksheet. So this will be a really helpful tool to reflect on last year's results and start mapping out all of your plans for this year, and a year-end marketing calendar. So this is taking those goals, putting them into action, and actually assigning particular channels, dates, and targeting those communications. So this will help you keep on track to success throughout the year end. So you can go ahead and get those free templates. I'm also going to paste the link in the chat right now. So this is going to be included with our complete guide to year-end fundraising. So there's even more resources in there that I just simply don't have time to get to. There's checklists and really, really great stuff. So you can get the whole guide. But if you just want the templates, I will also paste those in the chat so that you can access them now. So go ahead, get your free templates ready. And I want to, get started talking a little bit about the marketing trends and strategies to maximize year-end fundraising results in 2022 specifically. So whenever we think about year-end fundraising or just fundraising in general, I've kind of boiled it down to 4 basic ways that you can grow your fundraising. I used to say 3, and I've increased it to 4. So 1 is to acquire more donors. So this is pretty simple. I feel like this is also like kind of the solution we all assume is you need more money, you need to get more donors. But you can also grow your fundraising by increasing your average gift size. So if you get the same amount of donors and they all give a little bit more, that will help you also reach your fundraising goals. And then increasing donor retention. I think this is a big missed opportunity, and this is why those thank you campaigns before and after are so important, because donor retention is your biggest opportunity to really in such a simple way just keep donors for the long term and grow fundraising in that really practical way. And it's much better to retain a donor, or it costs you a lot less to retain a donor than it does to get a new one. And so unfortunately, the average donor retention rate is about 45%. So about 45% of your donors that gave last year will give again this year. And so even a small increase in that can really make a big, big difference for your year-end fundraising. And also increasing your return on investment. This is something that I've left off in the past, but as I was going through the presentation today and just even creating those templates, it just really hit me how big of a difference return on investment is, because if you spend less money and raise the same amount, you also get to keep that money. So anything that you save and you're increasing your return on all of your marketing efforts will effectively help you also grow your fundraising. So thinking through just like how you can increase your return on investment this year, and honing in on those strategies that will help you get the most bang for your buck is going to be really important, especially as budgets are getting tight. So something to keep in mind. So I'm going to try to go through these really fast because I don't want to not get to the really like meat and potatoes of like putting all of this into your plan. So again, we're going to send out the slides, so don't worry too much. The first recommendation I have for you when you think about your year-end fundraising is optimizing your donation page. So unfortunately, like 1 in 5 donors that hit your donation page actually complete the donation. So that's scary. You're putting all of this effort into getting people to your donation page on your website, or maybe you have like a dedicated landing page for YearEnd, whatever you're using. And if your site is not optimized to convert, that is going to really, really put a damper on your marketing efforts. So the first thing that I really do recommend is taking a look at your donation page, seeing if, are those big buttons there? Can people find how to donate easily on your website? Is it like right in the top navigation of your menu? Or even when you get to that page, is it really clear how they can make a donation? I love this example from Cancer Research Institute, just those big buttons highlighting those different values. Pro tip, typically donors choose the second listed value, whatever it may be. So that's a really easy way to also increase gift size, is if you increase that second value a little bit. Also, mobile optimization, check it out on your phone. Is it easy to give? Really, really important. And the other thing is too, where sometimes I'll go to make a donation and there's just like so many unnecessary fields. And I think this is all really basic, but I also think it's really important to take a look at those form fields and how can you reduce them a little bit, and maybe make some, do some donor surveys, or get the additional information that you're looking for from your donors later, so that you get right to the point and get them to make that donation. So yeah, the more that you optimize your donation page, the more that your marketing efforts are the further your marketing efforts are gonna go. So that's a big part of that return on investment. So yeah, so some simple tips: just make sure it's easy to navigate, that it's mobile optimized, have as many payment options as possible. I know for myself, even now, I pay with Venmo, Apple, and Google Pay way more than I pay with credit cards. I don't have time to remember my whole number or take it out and type it in. These really easy mobile payment options are going to really make a big difference, I think, on those conversion rates. And also, yeah, just make sure it's really easy to give and branded for YearEnd. I think a big part too is I see nonprofits will do all this great job at messaging for YearEnd, and then when you get to the page to give, it's just a very generic form. So think about how you can brand it for YearEnd, update it for YearEnd, and simple things that you can do to also drive up that average gift size. So increasing those defaulted gift amounts and have it tie to your YearEnd asks. Also thinking about recurring options. This will come into play probably more in that February push, but I think the more that you still feature, like even with Cancer Research Institute's page, they still have monthly donation as an option, and they have like this blue little box, like learn more about the benefits of recurring donations, and it's really kind of highlighting that as an option. So if you can get more recurring donations this year, and you're setting yourself up for even more impact all year. Okay. Still keeping an eye on the clock. So number 2, modern video really wins. This year in particular, short form videos are going to really work well for your organization. So HubSpot's 2022 marketing industry survey revealed that short form videos are the most effective social media format in terms of return on investment. The survey also found that 30% of marketers plan to increase their budget for short form videos. So this is kind of taking a look at what are the major trends in the for-profit space and leaning into that for your nonprofit. So those 15 to 30-second videos can really make a big difference. And it doesn't have to always be something that's professionally shot. It can be someone telling a quick little story, or reels are super popular. You can also like think about how you might be able to integrate the short form video and reels into your YearEnd marketing plan. So this is going to be really great especially if you are thinking about, and I really hope that you are, on running meta ads, because you're able to retarget anyone that watches even a second of that video. You can also target them with ads later and get them to convert. Also, according to a Google survey, 57% of people who watch a video for a nonprofit go on to make a gift. So this is really going to be a big part of YearEnd, is thinking about all the different ways you can incorporate video into your plans. Number 3, write copy that moves people. I think this is something that I didn't want to leave out, just because it really, really is important that you have that focus on storytelling. I think sometimes when we are so goal oriented and we're like, well, we just need to reach $200,000 by the end of the year, I don't care how we do it, that can really come across. So you want to think about how you can really craft those compelling stories. And I do think video could be part of this, into and have it baked into every communication. So every communication that you do should have a storytelling focus, or tie back to your story, or overarching themes and the impact that you're trying to make this year end. So just kind of thinking through like that storytelling foundation when it comes to your year-end strategy. Also, matching gifts are super, super popular during year-end. It is very typical that a donor will give 50% more than they were going to if they know that their gift is being matched. It just like helps them think that they're getting a deal on making a donation. And so any matching campaigns that you can do, even if it's as simple as just getting your board to make a large gift and match up to $5,000 in gifts during Giving Tuesday, that's going to make a big deal. So any of like your donation is doubled, your gift is double, that language performs really well. Also, yeah, kind of like still getting to the heart of the matter, like emotional appeals drive a lot of urgency. So late in December, especially during the holidays, it is the giving season. People do want to, help others feel the joy that they're experiencing as well. So just an example here. Is too many people die from cancer each year. Donate to give a future to more families this holiday season. That is powerful. That makes me want to donate. That makes me want to be part of this amazing organization and give that gift. So just a few copy tips to keep in mind as you craft all of your communications throughout year end. I have 2 suggestions. There is free ad spend available. There's the Google Ad Grant. So if you are already using the Google Ad Grant, I just want to hear from you in the chat. Just say yes, because I really, really want to get a pulse on how many people are really leveraging this. And it's really important where you have this huge gift for your organization, $10,000 a month in free ads, for you to drive more traffic to your site. So we ran the nonprofit acceleration report earlier this year, and 59% of the fastest growing nonprofits were planning on using it this year as part of their marketing efforts. And this year alone at Community Boost, we had from November 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, we had 305 Google Ad Grant accounts. We had over almost $4 million in free ad spends, drove 1.2 million clicks, drove almost 300,000 conversions, with the average conversion rate of 11.5%, and ultimately totaling over $1 million in donations. So this, while typically is a great way to just drive more traffic to your site throughout the whole year, I think this is more of that year-long effort to continue to get more qualified visitors to your site. This is also a great opportunity to drive donations by driving all of this traffic to your site. So it does fill the top of the marketing funnel, and this is more of a acquisition strategy than anything else. So if you want to acquire more donors, I really recommend utilizing that Google Ad Grants. And there's also the new Microsoft Ad Grant. So if you haven't heard about this already, this is $3,000 a month from Microsoft. You can use this on Bing, Yahoo. There's a lot of different search engines that you're able to run ads on for free now. Cancer Research Institute used this last year. They, the paid version, but now it's $3,000 a month for free. And they saw a 5.5 time return on ad spend. And so they actually raised almost $95,000 from Microsoft ads. So if that doesn't tell you that this is a great option, I don't know what will. So we actually are doing a webinar if you want to learn more about how you can get the ad grant, the Microsoft ad grant. This is coming up in like about 2 weeks. So you can register free there. We'll also be sending out more communications about this. So also huge opportunity is of course meta ads. So this is a great option to both acquire new donors, but even maybe more importantly, retain existing donors. So I know for myself, I am on my phone all the time, Facebook, Instagram. This is a great opportunity to get in front of your donors when the time is right during the year end. So 3 times return on ad spend is definitely what is very possible and what Community Boost sees. You can also, basically one of the best strategies for using meta ads for year end is those remarketing efforts. So it's, uploading lists of everyone who's donated to your organization over the past 2 years. You can run those thank you campaigns. You can run those ads that are more storytelling focused for year ends, and ultimately get more conversions that way. Another big thing is to invest in digital ads, the paid Google and YouTube. This is something that is really actually, I think, exploding from what we see here at Community Boost. YouTube ads are performing really well. And it is because video right now is king. And you're able to do a lot of like remarketing around this so that, people are actually viewing your ads at less than 10 cents per view. So there's like a really great, you get some really great exposure and stay top of mind with your audience. And then same thing with like paid Google search ads. This is a great way to complement your ad grant strategy as well, so that you can get the highest return on investment through these channels. So there's a lot of remarketing opportunities with Google display ads as well. So just things to keep in mind as you craft your year-end strategies. So this is not comprehensive. What I would really recommend is that you take us up on the offer to actually have a free year-end game planning session with our team. We'll review your goals and really review which channels we think will work the best for your organization, and help you ultimately meet those goals through year-end through marketing. So our last round of year-end partnerships ends October 1st. So book your meeting now and get in before the cutoff date. And we have, a really great opportunity for you to learn more about our services and how we can help you really skyrocket your results this year-end. All right, so now that we went over all the different recommendations and strategies for this year end, I want to actually get into setting those goals and mapping it out. So a lot of the things that we talked about are now all going to fall into place with our year end goals worksheet and our year end marketing calendar. So step 1, we talked a lot about all of these things that we want to do for year end 2022, but really the first step is going back and seeing what you did last year. So if you don't have this on hand, you want to think about really looking back at your results from last year. So I'm going to use the term KPIs a lot. That stands for key performance indicators. And this is really like those high level results from last year. So this looks like the total that you raised, both online and offline combined, your average gift size, your number of donors, your number of new donors. I think that's important to keep an eye on. Your retention between year end 2020 through year end 2021, how much you raised offline and how much you raised online. This will give you the foundation that you need to really see which strategies and channels you want to use so that you can ultimately acquire more donors, keep donors for the long term, increase donor retention rates, increase average gift size, and increase return on investment. So this is really important for you to map out, and it will be instrumental in setting those SMART goals for this year. Secondly, you want to take it a step further. So you know how much you raised, and kind of have those base metrics. But you also want to take a look at what channels did you use last year and were they effective? I think a lot of the times we just are like, oh yeah, we always do direct mail, for example. But are you really sitting down and seeing how much did you spend and how much did you raise from it and calculating that return on investment? So I think looking back, mapping out every single channel you used for to drive revenue during year end last year, and really reflect on your return on investment. So this will give you the groundwork that you need to make those really good decisions heading into this year. So I made this example sheet. So again, this is in those that calendar spreadsheet template that I put in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat again so that you can grab this, and you can even review this now. So this is all in there. So I mapped out what my imaginary organization did last year and calculating that return on investment. I have a little return on investment calculator in the upper left corner so that you can hopefully mirror this and really be able to have a solid understanding of how you performed last year. Going up next, one of the biggest things that I would really recommend doing when you are reviewing your return on investment last year is to make some notes. I think it's also important not to just look at return on investment alone, but think through like what were the strategies you used, like, you know, for a direct mail, for example. Did you just send out a direct mail to your whole list of addresses over the last 3 years? Like, make note of that, so that you're able to think through then what you might want to change this year to get the most return on your investment. And also make note of things that were surprising. Did something drive more revenue than you thought it would? And think through how you can optimize it again for this year. So that's kind of just basic reflection. And once you do that, you're able to actually think ahead towards this year. So one of the biggest things with fundraising, in my experience, is usually an organization will just throw out a number. We want to raise this much. Sometimes it's connected to a specific program you want to launch. I think that's really good. So whatever your fundraising total is, it should be realistic. If you raised $200,000 last year and want to raise $500,000 this year, that is a huge jump. Usually I recommend between like maybe 10-20% tops, just so that you're able to keep it realistic. However, if you do have, let's say, a new program that you're launching and you really do need those funds, mapping it out and looking at, you know, how many donors you need and what the average gift size would need to be to reach that ultimate fundraising total is really important. So as long as you can map it out and have a realistic way, with your number of donors, with your average gift size, with your retention in mind, all of this will make it a very approachable. So as long as you can get these numbers to add up, that will really set you towards success. And then halfway through your campaign, or even a quarter way through your campaign, like in my example here, so like, let's say we raised $450,000 last year. I want to raise $500,000 this year. So I can do that if I have 5,000 donors with an average gift size of $100. And then if I know that my retention rate was only 45% last year, I can then calculate how many new donors I need to get this year in order to meet those goals. From that, we can also, kind of set those goals of maybe how do you want to increase retention, and think through the strategies that you can do to get where you need to go. And also mapping out how much you want to raise offline and how much you want to raise online, because obviously these are a lot of different channels that you're using. They all kind of tie together, but it's just nice to keep in mind online versus offline efforts. Once you have those approachable goals where the numbers all add up, it makes sense, it sounds realistic, you're able to then start making some decisions about how you actually want to market this and what channels you think will be most effective this year. So when you take a look at all of those channels from last year and the return on investment, that really will help you, think through what should go, what should stay, and what really, really needs to be optimized. A good rule of thumb, in my opinion, is you should always be trying something new during year end. I think it's a great opportunity to do some testing for new channels. So I would think through about 2 to 3 new marketing channels, or even like revenue channels that you want to try out this year. So some common ones are direct mail, board, gifts from your board, major gifts, any phone call campaigns you might be doing, email campaigns, Facebook and Instagram ads, driving organic traffic through just like search engine optimization, just all of that traffic that's already coming to your website. How can you capitalize on that? Running those Google ads so you're driving more traffic and capitalizing on that. Driving engagement on social media, just on the channels that you're already using. Thinking through if you are interested in trying out Microsoft ads this year end, I think it'd be really effective for you. Maybe even doing a virtual event and SMS text messaging. So that's just some of the examples that I thought through for my imaginary organization. You don't have to do that. But also assigning a max spend and then a goal return on investment will help you make sure that your goals are A, reasonable, and B, not wasting your efforts, because if the ROI on something is really low, you don't want to be investing in that channel. So now that you've mapped out your channels, hopefully you want to think through those just like basic strategies that you'll be using to approach them this year. This can be some short notes because you'll be mapping out really specific things later in the calendar, but making those notes on, okay, direct mail didn't perform that well last year, so we're going to scale it back and limit our spend and try to increase in our return on investment. How are we going to do that? Maybe that means that we're only sending a package to donors who gave through direct mail within the last 3 years. And then maybe everyone else gets like a little postcard with a QR code and driving them to our year-end campaign. So it's kind of taking that, not just mapping out the channels, but thinking through little ways that you can increase your return on investment and tailor your strategy this year so that it's better. All right, so I want to go ahead to the next page, which is really more about considering your needs and obstacles. It's really great to say, hey, I want to use SMS this year to drive donations. And then once you think about it, you're like, I need an SMS platform to do that. So when you are mapping out all of your goals and channels and all these ideas, we do want to think practically and think, okay, for in order for this channel to be effective, what do I need approval for? What do I need to find tool wise? Do I need to apply for the Microsoft ad grants? Do I want to maybe hire out a contractor or agency to run this for me? Because I don't have the time to learn how to run meta ads. So all of this is really helpful and will help you, again, take those like ideas and turn them into reality so that you have some next steps when it comes to those channels. Next up is crafting your plan. So now that you have hopefully all those goals, it all makes sense. You have your channels, you know what your obstacles will look like as well, and what you need to do to get there and get ready to best leverage those channels. Now you want to think about how all of this actually relates to that year-end timeline that we went over earlier. So kind of starting October 1st is usually when we really recommend those even beginning communications, kind of warming up your audiences, saying thank you starts, and then ending with that thank you at the end. So for all of those stages of year ends where you're trying to push for donations on Giving Tuesday, you're trying to push for donations throughout December, you want to have a plan in place that maps out really day by day what channels and everything and specific communications you'll be doing. So this will make all of those goals a reality. So again, kind of keeping in mind, each audience needs about eight touch points to be effective. So if you're in that majority that's only contacting or getting in front of an audience 2 to 3 times, it's probably not enough. So whatever communications you're doing, it's probably not enough. I would say keep communications high and you'll see a high return. And so in the template that I created, it really does like take you through thinking through each communication from a very systematic approach. So it's mapping out which channel this communication is going to be on, for example, email, what date it's going to be sent, the audience it's going to, because it might be different audiences. You might be sending communications to last year's donors, and you also might be sending a different communication to people who subscribe to your email list this year. Just a basic description of what the content is going to look like, as well as the call to action. So this is really important. Your call to action is really the thing that converts people from just viewer, watcher, reader into a donor. So you want to be real specific on those call to actions, what you want them to do. Who is responsible for that communication? This really helps you, again, delegate so that it doesn't all end up on your shoulders and you don't end up doing all the work and completely burnt out. So assigning responsibility this way can really help streamline things. The status of it, so we have like a column that allows you to show, you know, where this communication is at, if it's been drafted, if it's been scheduled, if it's been sent. The KPIs for that channel. So, you know, success looks different on different channels. So you want to think through, you know, what do you want to keep track of for this email? Do you want the click-through rate to be about 5%? And just thinking through how you're gonna see how each individual communication was successful or not. Because yeah, KPIs for email look different than KPIs for a Facebook ad, for example. Thinking through the funds raised. So if you're able to tie a dollar amount to each communication, that will also be a great indicator of how successful those communications are. And any dependencies. So if you're about to send an email that has a video of Cassie's story, but then you realize that you don't have Cassie's story on video, that will, you know, that can really tie things up. So when you map everything out ahead of time and think through what those individual content pieces you need ahead of time is going to be really, really helpful in making your dreams a reality. So I know we're pretty much coming up on time. I just have a couple last tips for you to keep in mind as you map all of this out. So November 29th is Giving Tuesday. So that's going to be a high giving day that you want to make sure is marked on your calendar now. And incorporate it into your plan, as well as those last 3 days of the year. In general, I mean, this is like very, very basic because it really does look different for every organization. And again, I would do more communications than less, but bare minimum, if you're a team of one and just trying to make this happen, think about doing at least one email communication a week, and increasing that frequency at the end of the campaign. So thinking through like those last 3 days, you probably want to do at least one a day. Also, if you are a bigger team and have more capability, segmenting your audiences, whatever communications that might be going out is going to be really helpful in helping you convert them, because they'll feel personally addressed, and also increasing that average gift size, because you can suggest specific gift sizes to different audiences in those communications. At least 3 social media posts a week. But again, I really do want to see more nonprofits using video. So think through how you might be able to do more stories and reels as well. Strong call to actions. I kind of said this earlier, but strong call to actions for any communication you're sending out, no matter the channel, is really, really essential. If you get to the end of a really strong emotional appeal and it says support us, that's going to be very vague. I don't know as an individual how am I supporting you? Am I giving an in-kind gift? Am I just like saying, yes, I support this message? No, you want to tie it back to donate now, give today, make a gift, learn more. You can test out the CTAs, but just make sure it's really straightforward and always leading back to the page that you want them to give on. You don't want them leading back to your general website and they have to click around and find it. You'll lose out on a lot of gifts that way. Again, also any ads that you might be doing, ads are meant to be optimized. So it's not a set it and forget it. Oh, I created an ad, it's done. You want to continually, weekly be checking up on those ads and seeing how you might be able to change out a CTA, change out a headline, change out an image, and get more clicks, more engagement, and of course, more donations through them. So that is all of my tips for creating your year-end marketing calendar. Now, all that is left for you is to actually go ahead, build it out, and it's the perfect time to do it. So we'll go ahead and paste that calendar in the chat again in just a moment. And I hope that all of you are feeling ready, feeling prepared for year end. So thank you so much for being here. I really would love for you to take advantage of the year-end game planning session. This is the way that you can meet with our team on how you can skyrocket your year-end marketing results. Partnerships are ending on our end on October 1st, so this is going to be amazing. So take a look, book that one-on-one year-end game planning session with our team. You can use the QR code to schedule it now, and I'll also paste the link in the chat. And for anyone that is interested, but maybe doesn't have their calendar up in front of them and is ready to book it right now, I have a poll for you. So if you say, yes, definitely you want this game planning session, our team is going to follow up with you to schedule that. And then we're going to give you a package of resources. If you don't want to talk to our team, we're happy to go ahead and send more resources as well, including a lot of the ones that we went over today, like the templates, but also we have our year-end guide and yeah, so much more. Well, I'm going to leave that up for just a moment. And for those of you who can stay, I really appreciate your time and patience with me. I should have, when I ran through this before, it was a lot faster, but I guess I was talking to myself. And then, so yeah, thanks for bearing with me as I went a little over time, but I want to take a few questions here as well. So for those of you who are putting questions in the chat, I probably missed them. So please go ahead and put those in the Q&A, and I'll try to get to as many questions as possible. And thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Janessa. And it's been really great spending this time with you. So yeah, I'll go ahead and send the slides in a follow-up email too. So don't worry if you missed anything and want to review again later. Okay, so getting to some questions here. All right, this is a great question. Anonymous attendee asks, we often worry about oversaturating our asks. Is the solution to diversify the touches and asks and examples? So yeah, I think an ask is always welcome as long as you are providing something engaging. So if you are providing a video with a story, and then you're also in your next ask providing some impact statistics of what you've done this year, that's still going to be a welcome ask. So I think it's more about thinking through, yeah, like how you can diversify the types of content that you're putting out there, and making sure that it's continually adding value and not just like repeating the same thing over and over again, because that will get exhausting if you're just basically sending different versions of the same email over and over again. So also a great way to diversify the touches and asks is to do some donor segmentation, so that you are really personalizing the content that you're showing to your audience. So the more that you can send even more targeted ads to, let's say, donors during year end, donors who gave this year so far during year end, that will really help you kind of meet those audiences in a different way, and diversify the type of ask that you're making. So yeah, the more you can segment through email, through social media, advertising, the better. All right. Jim asked, do you recommend sending the same communication to different channels or different communications? So I think it would really, sorry for my door is noisy. So I think it would really depend on exactly what you're sending. So if you're telling a story, I think it's actually really great if you send the same story on multiple channels at the same time. That's really powerful. It has like a really surround sound effect. But of course, like, you know, what you would write in an email is going to be different than what you would write in a social media post. So I would definitely coordinate a lot of your communication so it all ties together, but think through how you can tweak it so that it is appropriate for each channel. All right. I want to answer Catherine's question. With Meta's suggested 4 days as the preferred ad length minimum, what do you suggest for promoting a 24-hour giving holiday like Giving Tuesday? So I actually would really recommend that you don't think of Giving Tuesday as a 24-hour giving holiday. Yes, you're going to get a lot of donations on Giving Tuesday itself, but actually there's always an increase in donations in the days surrounding Giving Tuesday. So a few days prior and then a few days after. So I would at bare minimum probably run ads for Giving Tuesday for about a week, because it's going to land on yeah, like the week following it, following up to Giving Tuesday, and creating that urgency. So I would think of maybe even Giving Tuesday as like the last day to make a Giving Tuesday donation, where people even a week or 2 weeks ahead of time can get started making those gifts early. So yeah, I would definitely run it for 1 to 2 weeks at least, maybe even more. Also, Vanessa asked, I'm a development team of 1 person. For the 1 email a week, can we resend the same one, or do we have to change each time? Yes, great question. You want to make each email communication unique. That doesn't mean that you have to reinvent the wheel every time, but it does mean that you have to find a different way to position your content. So, for example, for your first email, you may send something that's a little bit more, hey, we're launching our year end campaign. Here's a quote from one of our beneficiaries. Will you support her? And then in the next email, it will be maybe a little bit deeper and a video of that beneficiary from the first email. So you can, kind of use the same story throughout all of your content, but tell it in different ways. Also think through, like any impact statistics that you can focus on as well. So if you can share, what your organization has accomplished this year and what your organization will accomplish with the year-end results, and incorporate that into several different email communications, that's always going to help a lot. So it definitely should be different. Catherine asked, we recently started a TikTok account. Do you have any tips to utilize TikTok for year end? TikTok has limited in-app donations compared to Meta, so we will need to get creative and ask for donations in-app. Yeah, so I'm still new to TikTok myself, so I would not consider myself the expert. However, I think TikTok is an amazing tool that you can use to drive a higher audience and engagement. And I think this is really you probably won't get a lot of donations then and there, but the more you can actually tell your stories on TikTok and get in front of an audience, the more that will also eventually translate into those who connect with you on other channels and who look up your nonprofit. So I think it is getting kind of creative with how you ask for donations on TikTok. But I also think TikTok is a great tool to raise awareness and build an audience, while it's probably not the best channel for converting them into donors, but it's a really great way to acquire a new audience that will convert later on. I also would recommend you can kind of repurpose your content on TikTok with Reels as well, and that's going to be probably a great way for you to make the most of both channels. So you're taking advantage of Meta and Meta's fundraising opportunities as well as TikTok to build that audience. Cool. Amazing. If anyone has any more questions, I'll stay on for another minute or two, but it has been a real pleasure to spend this time with you. And yeah, please go ahead. You can take advantage of that game planning session again. And yeah, would love to hear from you. Was this helpful? Was it too basic? Was it too advanced? Was it just right? Love to hear, your feedback is really appreciated, so I can continue making better content for you. So thank you again, everyone. All right. Thanks, Noah Jones. Thank you, Candy. Thank you. So many of you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Kanitra. This has been wonderful to spend this time with you. Please go ahead. If you have any more questions, you can always reach out to me directly at candace@communityboost.org. I will be going ahead and sending the slides and the recording tomorrow. All right. Thanks again and have a great rest of your day.